So tonight we're gonna talk about Raven's inspiring journey. She's with us right now to talk about these things. So, despite many challenges, she rose above them and continued drawing and honing her skills. And now she is working on her very first one shot, which she will be talking about in a bit. So, tonight we're gonna talk about how Raven's art skills improve through consistency and hard work, how setbacks ignited her passion for making manga, and of course, the most important lesson that she learned that any beginner artist can learn from as well. Welcome back, Raven! It's actually been a while since we last interviewed you here in the LTDM channel, and can you give us like any updates since the last time that we've had you on live?
Well, since the last time I was on live, I finished our initial course, which was the character drawing class thing, which was an adventure. It was really fun, and I ended up doing it a lot longer than I had anticipated. So I think the original time frame was 6 months, and then you were done. And then part of the way through, they're like, "Surprise! It's for life!" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is fantastic!" So then I finished that. We started our new class with the one-shot manga drawing course. We got a bunch of new classmates, which is super fun because they're so supportive, and it's nice to have a group of people around. I
Mm.
am about 5 pages away from finishing my first one-shot as far as the storyboard goes, but then I got to go make it all pretty, which is actually the part I'm really excited about because now I don't have to worry about the placements and the lines. They're already there. I just got to make them nice, which is going to be great. In between then and now, I also broke another bone, so
Oh,
I ever fragile.
we're actually gonna get to that in a bit, but it's exciting to find that like for those who are watching us or learning about our program for the first time, our course used to be limited time, only 6 months, but now it's lifetime access, and Raven's like one of the few who gets to have that privilege of being here since the very beginning. So that's it's super exciting. We're
I
here
think there
forever.
was only like 4 or 5 of us for like forever, and now there's a whole bunch of us. I'm like, this is
Mm,
wonderful.
yeah, growing in numbers. Yeah. Also, like this is an example of the progress that you've had over the time you like you know you spent like in and learn to draw manga, and from static poses you would immediately jump to like more dynamic poses and whatnot. I know you mentioned that you were such a huge fan of like Sailor Moon and some other like shoujo or shonen titles
hmm
from back then. You also told us about some manga from your grandpa's magazine stash. So how do these get you into drawing in anime style?
I think what I've always liked about anime is like the feelings you get because there's always some emotion happening, and it's always extreme for me. I'm a very
Mm-hmm.
emotional person, so like if you're happy, you're really happy. If you're sad, it's really sad, and I just like that you can convey that. Like even in the manga, where it's just a image, you're like, yeah, that there is anger, or that there is
Mm-mm.
misery. You're like, oh my gosh. And then
Mm.
it was just kind of a way to like get out the feelings that you didn't necessarily have a word for. Because as a
Mm-hmm.
kid, you got the basic ones: happy, sad, mad, tired. And you're like, okay, cool. But then you get older and you're like frustration, jealousy, envy, all kinds of craziness, and you're like, I don't have a word for it, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
necessarily a healthy way to express this emotion. So when you
Mm-hmm.
get really frustrated, you're like, I'm just gonna go ahead and stab some people in my comics. That makes it feel a lot better than going out and getting
That's
arrested to stab someone in real life.
that's so grim. Stab people in
Yeah,
comics. Yeah, but hey, it's
yeah,
a great way of channeling like feelings, you know.
yeah. So
Um.
I always like how and then how pretty it is too. Like it's always so
Mhm.
stunning, and I like the different styles and everything too. You get so many different drawing styles. Like you look at the Sailor Moon's artist, and then you skip over like Rurouni Kenshin, and then you're over and
Mhm.
like His Him Not Me, and like all kinds of craziness. But like you still get all these like dynamic emotions, and I really like that about it. And then I tend to
Mhm.
live like in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I do now, but when I was a kid, it was
Mhm.
always we lived way far away from all the other kids too. So it was also a nice like way to kill time without like getting into wrestling matches with your siblings. So I've got a lot of
Mm.
brothers and sisters.
On that note, about like the kind of anime and manga that you like, some of these sketches that you made are actually from your manga panel analysis homework. Like, can you tell us a bit of like what about some of these manga inspired you or influenced your art in a way?
So the one on the far right is Yomiko Reedman. She's from Read or Die, and she is like my ideal human being. She is so wonderful. She's in love with books. Like she has a whole friggin' apartment building just stacked with them everywhere. And I can't really show y'all my office right now because I'm on my phone. It's a pain to go, but I have books everywhere. And like I
Oh.
love that she's so cheerful and happy, and she goes through a lot of bad stuff, and she still stays positive and hopeful. And I really love that
Mm,
about her. And like she has such a simple design. It's just like the best tie overcoat and a black skirt, but like
mm,
it just suits her so well. And like that works for her. What is my middle one from? I know it's
mm,
a high school one. Maybe Love Me Not. Or it's another shojo one for sure. 'Cause I remember I've been reading a lot of books. I'm kind of like smashed right now. So that one was really cute because it had like a lot of teenage drama, which like I'm a middle school teacher, so it's
mm.
fun watching it play out in a way where I don't have to intervene and help people out because
Mm.
teenagers are wild. And like it has such a sweet story because like the two characters like both have like totally different styles of love and like trying to overcome that barrier and be friends when you're like I'm right, you're wrong, and realizing hey maybe that it's not just black and white. Maybe there are multiple ways to love things, and it's fantastic. And the
Mm.
two on the far left are from Galaxy Angel, which is like the first manga I actually owned. I used to like check out books from the library, but that was the first one I owned on my own, and it's got space and robots and drama, and it's great. And like the main character, she had her like thing is being lucky, and
Mm.
sometimes it's really good luck, and sometimes it's really bad luck. And again, it has like that complex thing where it's like, okay, we have all these intertwining relationships and there's so much going on. It's like, how do you solve all that? And I like that there's always like a problem, but it always gets solved too. Sometimes
Mm.
it's not a nice solve and things end poorly, but I'm like, there's a resolution and I think you could learn a lot from it. And that's kind of
Mm.
like what I want to do with my own manga some days. Like, I want it to be something people could be like, I was worth reading. I learned a thing or two about like myself or others or stuff like that. And
Mm.
that would
Mm.
be ideal. So it's like someone could just learn like one thing. That would be great.
You know, it's interesting. The like beyond the manga that you described right now, they all seem to have share one thing in common. Like, they all of them made you reflect. So
Yeah, I'm a
yeah.
big fan of things that make me think or consider other people's points of view, which I think helps me be more empathetic, which like definitely goes a
Mm.
long way when you work with children every day. Because
Mm.
sometimes it's like y'all are just really grinding my gears, and I just want to backhand you, but at the same time, I understand stuff is happening.
When you joined us last year, your goal was to get better at drawing, right? Like drawing at characters. I mean, like here's an example of like your progress from 2007 to last year. You know, that's awesome. So now that you're in our advanced program, the one shot manga drawing program, and learning everything there is to know about manga, so what prompted you to just want to get better at like anatomy or like character drawing to now telling your own story through your art?
I think originally I kind of just wanted to get better to prove that I could because I typically
Mm,
draw for myself or I do a lot of like commissions and they're usually just like headshots, body characters that people want to use to just show what their character looks like. And then after a while, I was like, it'd kind of be nice to do like something more dynamic so it's not the same pose every single character. Like I'm really good at copying from comics. Like if I'm looking at it, I can copy one for one pretty much like as I want. But then I
mm,
realized I can't do anything that's not that way, and that was really frustrating to me. Just like, well, can I really be like an artist if I'm just copying this pose every time? Like, yeah, you like,
mm,
you get the base and you're boom, my character's here now. And it's like that's nice, but after a while, you want more and you want to be able to do more instead of just being like the
mm,
guy who's like, yes, I can copy. Sometimes it's like
mm,
I can also be the guy who creates, and that sounds wonderful. And then like I said, I've always wanted to do a manga, but I know I have no self motivation. I get very distracted. And then like I don't always follow through with the story. And then like if you don't have anyone like proofreading or helping you look at things either, it's like, well, it sounded good in my head, and then you hand it to someone like I have no idea what's going on here. What do you mean you don't know what's going on? And that's when you
Mm-hmm.
realize, well, you have all the necessary background in your brain, your readers don't, and they can't
Mm-hmm.
just assume the thing. And you're like, oh, which kind of hits me a lot when we do our like comic drawing things together where it's like, that's
Mm-hmm.
nice, except, what was your thing here? What are you doing? What's that? I'm like, well, to me it makes sense, but I guess to you, not so much. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
nice to get better too. I'd kind of gotten stagnant for a while. There's like 3 years where I didn't really like improve too much at all. And it's like, huh,
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this for so long and now I'm just kind of stuck. And that didn't sit right with me.
Yeah, so having access to like this program, this community, it's basically helped you like get back into gear sort of
Oh yeah, I've
thing.
made so much progress just like being
Mm-hmm.
in the class. Like even before I joined, I did one of the mentoring sessions. Maybe it was
Mm-hmm.
one of the ones where mentor stuff was looking at people's drawings and giving you feedback. Master classes. There we go. We did a
Mm-hmm.
master class too, and I'd been watching the ones with Yazawa and Rena Sensei's, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then mentor Steph had like gone on, and he like talked like there was like one where he's talking about like the math of like how you ratio heads, and you're like, if it's an inch, then this line goes here, that line goes there. This is how big it is. And I was like, okay. And then I followed along, and I did a drawing right before class, and I like redid it as we were doing, and I went so much better. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
dang, if I can do this in one class, like when it's not even focused on me, imagine what happens when you join and like you have
Mm-hmm.
personalized feedback and your classmates to help you. There's definitely days where I'm like, I don't really want to draw or do anything. And then like you see all your classmates posting back to back to back, and you're like, okay, maybe I should draw something. I don't want to be the only guy not doing something.
That's a really good motivator. Yeah, yeah. We're gonna circle back on like your experience in the community in just a bit. But
Hmm.
first, I wanna like get back to like last year when we interviewed you last year. One of our earlier coaches, Coach Dindin, you told us that art was what kept you going through some hard times. You lost your mom when you were 18, and you even suffered a
Hmm.
broken arm. So, some people would have likely given up, like with all those circumstances. So, why didn't you?
Well, when my mom died, it was very sudden. It's not like she was sick or anything. She was killed in a car crash that wasn't her fault. Like, long story short, she was pulled off to the side of the road, fixing something under the hood. Some guy was doing some things he shouldn't while he was driving, ran into her, she died. And then I had been in basic training. I was in the army. I was in basic training for about a month when my mom got hit. And my little brother and sister were in the car at the time. And all of a sudden, and my parents like divorced when I was like 11 or something like that. So it's not like dad was at home and we were waiting for everyone to be like, oh, hey. And it was very difficult not being able to be there with my siblings because I was like had some basic training. I got to go home for I think it was 2 weeks when my mom died. Then I went back to training, and then my brother and
Mhm,
sister were super mad at me. They're like, "Why are you going? You need to be here with the family, and you're so
mhm,
awful. It's not fair." And but then it was also like, well, I'm 18, and at the time, Dad wasn't like didn't have like a stable job or anything, so it's not like we had anyone supporting us. My grandparents weren't in a position where they could help us, so like it was me at 18, fresh
mhm,
out of high school. I'd been out of high school 2 or 3 months when my mom died, and suddenly
mhm,
I was the one in charge of making sure my siblings had a place to live and we had money and they could get food, and it was really difficult and like it's so frustrating. You just want to cry all the time. It's like you got to keep going, you got to do things, and then it's like, okay, well maybe I can draw. And again, like I was saying, it's a really good way for me to get my emotions out, especially when it's like not the healthiest thing to like just go out and do whatever it is you want to do. So it's like you could draw your character being sad and miserable and upset, but then you could also
mhm,
draw someone like being there for that character and telling them what they want to hear and helping the character move on. And Then after a while, you realize, it's like maybe I should do all these nice things for myself. Maybe I should help me and things. And so
Mhm.
I guess it's also a way to sort through feelings and kind of like walk yourself through traumas that you don't necessarily know how to deal with at the time. So that was a lot of that. And then like when they came to live with me after I graduated, basic training too, because my mom
Mhm.
died in August of 2011. They moved in with me in September of 2012, so it was almost a year before we were able to like be together in the same household and family. And then you have two teenagers who are like, "You're not my mom. You can't tell me what to do. I can do what I want." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "I want to
Mhm.
strangle you guys. What is wrong with you?" And then it's like, I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna do things. It's gonna be great. And again, just kind of helps you like sort through things. So it's always been like a big way to like talk myself through things or walk myself through things. I've even used it for like boy problems. Like you're like, was that conversation really awkward with that guy? I don't know. So then you like draw down the conversation and how you think it reacted, and you're like, okay, yeah, it was really weird. I should probably like fix that. Or be like, I'm weird, but he seemed into it, so we're just gonna stay this way. I don't know. So it's just like
Mhm.
a fun way for me to like occupy times and do things and stuff. And I like the storytelling aspect, even though I'm not really good at following through on stories. But I'm getting better because, like I said earlier, I'm a couple pages away from finishing my one shot,
Yeah.
which is gonna be
That's
great.
awesome. Yeah.
Then in 2020, right after we got out of COVID, I broke my wrist like really, really bad. I don't
Mhm.
I don't think you can see it, but there's this big scar right down my arms. I have a metal
Oof.
bar in my wrist now because I basically like that little circle bone up top here. It snapped off and shoved all my bones into my knuckles, and it was awful. It hurt so bad, and for a while the doctors like didn't think I would use my hand again. We weren't sure if the fingers were gonna work. We weren't sure if I was gonna be able to move the arm. After a while, they were like, I think you're going to lose like 20-25% mobility in your wrist. I don't think that you're going to use it the way you want to anymore. And I got really depressed. I was really angry and really mad. And I was just like a really bitter person for a while. So I'm like that, like all my hobbies, I need my hands. Like I'm
Mhm.
right-handed. I broke my right arm. That's how I draw. That's how I play video games. Like if I want to walk the dog, I need that hand. And like
Mhm.
it hurt so bad. And then it's like you couldn't do the normal. Well, I'm just gonna draw through things because surprise, your hand doesn't work. Like it was, I got really depressed and like thank my God, my husband was there because he's like, no, we'll help you. We'll do it. We'll get the
Mhm.
physical therapy. Who cares what they say you can or can't do? And eventually I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? Yeah, screw them. I'm going to be able to do what I want to do. And I'm going to use this hand again. And I did a lot of physical therapy, like 2 times a week for, I think, about a year before like my hand actually started working. And then when I started being able to write and draw again, like I'd write or draw for like 5 minutes and it would swell up so bad
Mhm.
every time. It's like, oh my God, like this hurts. I'm like, do I want to keep like pushing it when it hurts like this every time? And again, it was just like one of those like, yeah, I don't want to lose this. Like it's been such a huge part of my life forever.
Mhm.
Um, like I've known about anime and manga for probably longer than I remember. My grandfather was Japanese. He had the manga like magazines and like all over the house. And I'm not sure if they were like his or his and my uncle's or like just my uncle's. But I'm like my uncle was super into it too. And I remember watching Sailor Moon and they'd sit down and watch with me and we'd all dance. It was really fun and it just like gives you that family feeling too. Like even though no one else in my family is like super into anime like I am and none of them draw like I do, it was a thing
Mhm.
that we could do together. They'd be like, "Oh my gosh, do you remember when you used to do your transformations?" Or "Oh my gosh, you remember when you tried to do like the whole dance and you fell?" And I was like, "Yes, I remember." So it gives me the happy feelings, and
Mhm.
I just like kept going. I was like, "I want to draw. I want to play my games. I want to do these things." And my hand works now. I got almost all the mobility back. Fingers work.
Mhm.
Life is fantastic, and I'm so much happier for it. And then it
Yeah.
also gives you a like community too. Like even
Mhm.
before I joined like this course, I had like my middle school and high school friends. We draw together. We had a notebook. We called it Noti, and we'd draw like little comics back and forth to each other, just like passing notes and making them fun. It was super jazzy, and
Mhm.
It was fantastic. I
Yeah.
was like, if I ever like have kids, I'll totally like be that hopefully cool parent where like, yeah, let me show you some things. But right now I'm the cool teacher where the kids are like, oh my god, you can do that. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty
Mm.
sweet.
That's awesome. You'd be like, ah, do you want to see all the manga that I made? The drawings that I made?
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah,
awesome.
we got a bunch of little weeaboos in the middle school right now. They think I'm like the coolest thing since sliced bread, and I'm like, yeah, I
Mm.
got things.
That's an interesting comparison. Coolest thing since like bread. Oh god. If you don't mind me asking, how long did it take for like your arm to like heal before you could like start drawing without pain again?
Probably like a year and a half before it stopped swelling, and like almost two before it stopped locking up and like being a real pain in the butt. Like even now, like if it's like too cold or like too rainy, like I feel like an old man. I'm like I feel it in my bones. I know it's happening. And like
Mm.
me and my dad will sit there because my dad has like the metal in his body too, and I'm like, the sky's pretty clear, but I'm thinking snow today. And then sure enough, later on that day, snow everywhere.
Thank you for sharing that part. Like I knew about it, but like you getting into the details, the nitty gritty of it, I'm sure a lot of people watching can relate to like having similar experience to yours, and just hearing how you rose above them is just really, really refreshing to hear, really inspiring to hear. Recently, like not too long ago, you told us about some new challenges that you kept you from pursuing, like getting into the drawing more consistently as you do. So tell us what it's like, working as a full-time teacher while taking care of your dad, while working on coursework. Like how do you like
Yeah.
uh, juggle all that? Yeah.
It is a lot of work for sure. Because, like what we were saying, I'm a middle school teacher, but I'm also my father's caretaker. Um, I don't know that I got too much into him last time, but he's an amputee. He's missing one of the legs. He just had knee surgery on the other leg, and he's not allowed to bend it at all. He's on dialysis, diabetic, mostly blind, mostly deaf, like all kinds of craziness. So it takes a lot of work because you gotta like he obviously needs help doing like showers and stuff. I don't know if you want me
Mhm.
telling everyone his business, but yeah. So it's like there's a lot of work. So you go to work all day and then you deal with kids, and sometimes they're really nice, and sometimes you just want to like flick them in the forehead. And
Mhm.
then you come home and you're like, all right, time to take care of dad, and that you gotta like make dinner, make sure his dog has gone to the bathroom, make sure he's got clothes, things are all set up in
Mhm.
his room, and then you make the dinner, and you're like, okay. And then I also go to the gym every day for an
Mhm.
hour. So it's not so bad right now. It's like summertime, and I didn't work any summer school because, like I said earlier, I broke another bone this year. I broke my
Uh,
ankle. So I'm off for the summer, which helps a lot with time. But when I was in school, I'd use like 10 minutes. I'd be like, okay, 10-minute break. I'm going to draw something for a little bit. Or when I had a prep hour, I'd be like, I'm going to use this hour to draw. And when I should have been grading, but whatever.
mhm.
Sometimes you need a break. Basically, just like setting aside time and making sure that you do it. Or like
Mhm.
if you need more scheduled time, you're like, okay, I'm gonna draw at least three scenes of something on this day. Like, be very specific. Hey, Thomas.
Mhm.
Be like very specific with like your goals for yourself. A lot of times, like, I don't have time. I'm too tired. I don't want to do it. And it's like
Mhm.
you're never gonna have the time. You're always gonna be tired. It's never gonna be just convenient to do these things. A lot of my classmates are the I'm gonna draw every day and this is gonna be great kind of guy. I am not the draw every day person. That sounds exhausting and like a lot of work. So
Mhm.
I'm the okay, if I can draw one page every 3 days, that's good for me. Or I'm
Mhm.
going to draw this emotion this many times on this day. So I set like short little goals, and then
Mhm.
eventually they build up, and it gets a lot faster. When I
Mhm.
started the one shot we were working on, it took me like I want to say it used to take like an hour to do like one page of just like the
Mhm.
storyboard, which is very quick, not even detailed drawings. It used to
Mhm.
take me forever because I'd sit there like I have no idea, like I don't understand. Like you even look at the comics and you're like, all right, cool, I see how they do it, but I don't think that works for me. And trying
Mm.
to find ways to make it work for you. So like having
Yeah.
the classmates and like the senseis and giving feedback after a while, you just kind of start getting faster as you keep doing it.
Mm.
If you are an everyday drawer, cool for you and good job. I envy that. I cannot be that person. So just like choosing
Mm.
a day, you're like, Sunday is my slow day because when I was doing the character drawing course, I would just do my homework all day on Sunday because it was the one day I
Mm.
had nothing going on. And then
Mm.
like that kind of got a little frustrating sometimes because sometimes I'm like, I really just want to play video games and I don't want to do class. But it's like if
Yeah.
you want to do something, you have to work for it and like make the time, even when you're like
Mm.
not really feeling it. That being said, there's definitely times you're not feeling it, and like trying to force it isn't gonna make it any better either.
Mm.
Because like to me, I think of like school stuff. Like I remember writing essays back in the day. You spend like hours on the one you don't want to do, and you're just you just like trudge through so you could get it done. You're like, this is friggin' terrible, and I hate this thing. And
Mm.
then like a couple days later, all of a sudden the idea comes, and you're like, hey, I get it. And then you write like a way better paper in like an hour. Sometimes
Mm.
when you're just like too exhausted or too frustrated, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna let this go for now. I'm gonna go do
Mm.
something fun, have my own time, and then come back to it later. That's totally valid too. Because
Mm.
these last like week or two, I've been doing a lot of just like fun drawings, just because even though I'm not done with my comic yet, because I was
Mm.
kind of just getting stuck, and I'm like, I'm not really feeling this right now, so I'm just gonna draw something, have fun, live that thing. And then after I had done that for a while, suddenly I had ideas again, and I was like, this is great.
Mm.
So sometimes just taking breaks to do things that you like want to do or enjoy doing is good too. Or maybe it's
Mm.
like, I know everyone says draw great, but I'm like, I'm just like, if I don't feel it, maybe I just don't draw for like 3 days. I come back refreshed. Maybe like I want to watch TV or play video games or hang out with my dogs or bully my husband. I don't know.
But I think the takeaways from this, and thank you for sharing, because the takeaways from this is like, as someone like you working a full-time job, taking care of family, basically there's a lot going on. Just choosing to make set aside time for it, and then not forcing it when it's just really not in the bag. I think that's a really good
Yeah.
reminder. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Yes.
lot of times you're like, I have to do it. I'm on a thing. It's gotta do it. And then you're like, why? Like, is the world gonna end if I don't do this one thing? Am I gonna
Mm.
get like kicked out of the class if I decide I'm not gonna draw today? Like, no, it doesn't happen. Everyone's
Mm.
understanding, and you're, sometimes it's just, find some time, find a break. Or then
Mm.
like you see your class, and then sometimes again, like seeing your classmates do things, you're like, all right, I see that. Or like a lot of the times, my classmates will do like little draw alongs on Discord, and they'll hang out and they'll talk together, and then like they'll try to draw the same things or try to like work on dynamic poses together. So having like that community of people helps too.
Would you say that with all this, with all the stuff that just went on, would you say you're more ready for
I am
embracing?
definitely a lot more ready.
Yeah,
Because
that's
like the very first draft of my one shot, like the first 2 pages, I had to do 5 times before it got to be like acceptable. And let me tell you, that was fun on its own, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later. And
Mhm.
like it was so frustrating. I'm like, I just want to move on to the next page, but then it's like, no, I'm gonna get it right, do it now, because the best
Mhm.
shortcut is the one that you don't take. So you just do it right, and then you don't have to come back and fix this and that and that and that. I'm like, ugh. And nowadays, I can pretty much do like 4 pages at a time and only have like 2 or 3 like major like critiques from the senseis, which is nice because I'm moving so
Mhm.
much faster. Like from the
Mhm.
start to now, I'm like huge difference. And then like my panels are way better too. Like when
Mhm.
I go back and like start, I say like when I go back and start inking all the earlier pages, there's probably a couple panels I'm going to change up again because I've got a lot more skills now than when I started that I want to apply. And I'm like, well, even without them telling me, I'm going to go ahead and fix this because I know it's not quite right. Although
Yeah.
sometimes there's definitely times where like I know something's not right in my page, like the one I submitted this week, there's 2 panels I don't really like, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a better idea for what to do with it. So I just said that in my when I turned in my work, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna need help with these two things because I have no idea." And it's nice to be able to do that too, where people aren't going to be like, "Oh my god, you left it? Why? You know better." It's like they're like everyone's super and they're like, "Yeah, I gotcha, I can help you." And it's nice to not be like afraid to submit something because I
Mm-hmm.
was very much a not put it anywhere online that I wouldn't just get praise from kind of kid because the
Mm-hmm.
internet is mean. They are mean people sometimes. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'd always get the generic, "Oh, it's so good, it's so great, life is fantastic," and you're like, "Yeah." And then like you look at it a couple weeks later, and yeah, you guys are a bunch of liars, but all right. So it's
Mm-hmm.
nice to be able to like look and like know that like yes, I understand where I'm going wrong now, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you don't have the answer to how to fix it. But it's
Mm-hmm.
still nice to know that you can acknowledge when something's off, and you're like, I don't know what it is, but I'll get
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah, I mean that's a really huge sign of improvement, you know. Like as beginners, you don't immediately notice these things. But when you start getting better, you'll be like, yeah, just as you
Yeah, like
said, like I know
the first
something's
page
wrong
I turned
here.
in for my one shot, I was like, "This is fantastic," and then it got ripped to shreds, and I was like, "Oh boy!"
Ah.
And now I'm a lot better at it, and I generally get it right on my own.
Yeah, well, on that note, I think this would be a great opportunity for you to like tell the viewers about the one shot that you're working on. I know it's still in the storyboarding phases, that's why it's still quite sketchy. Yeah, tell us about your one shot. I believe it's Diary of a Former Magical Girl. Yeah.
Yes. So, Diary of a Former Magical Girl actually came from a dream I had. It was like some crazy hour of the night, and I woke up and I had been having a dream about this girl who had been like this super awesome superhero, saved the world, was like the most amazing person ever. And then like she went on tour and she was on all these interviews and like everyone like she's so great, I love her, oh my god, and she's so fantastic. And then like summer hit and she was out of school for a while and then like went back to school and all of a sudden it's like okay, we've moved on now, time to like go on with our lives. And she's kind of
Mhm.
stuck in that limbo of like, okay, I used to be famous, now I'm not, and it's kind of getting twisted around on her because
Mhm.
like she had I never got to put this scene in this one shot so I ran out, but like she was like late for work one time and her boss was like, "Oh, you think just because you save the world you can do what you want? Well, that's not how this
Mhm.
works. We still got to do our thing." And it's like,
Oh.
what? Or like one of the characters, I won't say she's a villain because she's not a villain, but like a bully is like a scene I remember. She's like, "What is your problem? I saved your life," and she's like, "Yeah, but what have you done for me lately?" And it's like a how dare you? Like, excuse me, I saved your life and this is how you act? And it's like, okay, I guess it's kind of like being like a former pop star. It's like, okay, I did all
Mhm.
these things, I was super famous, but now I gotta like move on with my life and I have no idea what I was gonna do. And
Mhm.
it's struggling with that feeling of like inferiority, of like everything you're doing not mattering too. Because like a big
Mhm.
issue she has is like if me saving the world, which is the biggest thing in our planet,
Mhm.
doesn't count for anything, why am I even trying? And it's a struggle of like, who
Mhm.
cares? Like, why am I doing all these things and trying really hard if no one gives a crap at the end?
Yeah.
And she's gonna like talk to her friends, that's a boyfriend, obviously, because I'm big into shoujo, and it's gonna be like that.
Mhm.
You know, you are worth it even when other people don't see it. And just because people aren't like falling at your feet anymore doesn't mean that you aren't doing worthwhile things.
Mhm.
And I think that's like a big thing that she needs to learn is like, yes, you did these things, but that's not the end of it. It's kind of like those guys that like peak in high school, and you're like, well, I'm gonna like reference an old TV show. Mary Jones like, I had four touchdowns in one game, and you're like, okay, but what have you done in the last 30 years?
Oh.
Acknowledging that the world's still going on, and you have to like keep doing things, which kind of sucks because
Mhm.
God, doing things every day is exhausting, but then it's
Mhm.
also learning how to just enjoy life and like the things that you have going on right now. And that's kind of like where I was at for a little bit. I'm like, I did the army thing. I was a soldier. I had a lot of fun. And it's like, okay, well, what now? Now that I'm not, That was my plan
Mm.
for the next 20 years, and it didn't happen.
It's amazing to see how like your story, while it did come from a dream, it's also like inspired by things you experienced and felt yourself. That's awesome. But would you say you put in a little bit of yourself in your main character, Eden? Like how,
Oh,
like what are your
definitely.
similarities and differences basically?
I think that we're both like kind of quick to change moods. Like, we get cranky really fast. Like, what is wrong with you people? But then it's also like, you know what? Calm down, serenity now, just relax. It's not that serious. And like
Mm-hmm.
also being okay with like leaning on your friends and everything too. Because I have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of friends of my own where it's just like, how you doing? You guys like the arms chopped off and they're bleeding everywhere. Oh, I'm fine, nothing to worry about. Want to help? No, no, I'm good. And I'm like, my guy, ask for help. Talk to people. What is wrong with you? Don't do it by
Mm-hmm.
yourself. So then it's
Mm-hmm.
like knowing like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do these things and it's gonna be great. But then
Mm-hmm.
she also cares a little bit more about like what other people think because I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't care. Who do I need to impress? I'm already married. I have a job and I have a house. I don't have to do anything. But she's very
Yeah.
much at the age where it's like, you want people to like you. You want to like have a worthwhile like career coming up because she's graduating high school and it's like, okay, what am I gonna do now that I'm not a superhero? Because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it wasn't my plan to be one in the first place, but it kind of went on for a little bit.
I'm excited for when you finish this. Honestly, I think you and Courtney, the person we interviewed last week, for those who are
Oh,
watching
I
for the
love
first time,
Courtney.
yeah, the two of you are gonna be the first among all of the students in the program to finish your one shot. So, like, do you have any plans of like post publishing this one shot or posting it somewhere on a website
I
or?
kind of want to print like 3 or 4 physical copies for like me
Oh.
and like my friends who supported me the whole way through. Because one of my best friends, like I talk to him all the time, and like even before I submit it to you guys, sometimes I'll be like, "Hey, what do you think of this thing?" He's like, "No, don't do that. That looks weird."
Mm-hmm.
And then like he's been like supporting me the whole way through, and I'm like, maybe just give them a copy and be like, boom, signed. So if I ever decide I want to be like a big famous mangaka, you got the first one, which isn't
Mm-hmm.
going to be the greatest thing on the planet, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with it for being my first one.
And
And
we
then
can't
maybe
wait.
I might post it online somewhere. I'm not sure yet. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still not entirely thrilled at the idea of the internet tearing me apart just to be mean. But I also feel like the internet can be really nice and supportive too. So like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Maybe I'll gauge the interest of like our fellow viewers and classmates and see if what they think about it.
You already know how your classmates are gonna react. They're gonna be like, "Do it." Yeah. Yeah. I want to get into like the production or like the drafting part of like your story, your manga. You mentioned
Mhm.
earlier like at multiple points you had to like redraw a bunch of times. Like in this like page alone, I believe you drew this like maybe 1 to 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
So
I
can
ended
you
up
tell
doing
us
it 5 different times.
yeah. This is the folks, this is the reality of like making manga. Sometimes your editors, your sensei will tell you like, okay, this could be better. Can you tell us like things that you've learned from this redraw process, and have they affected the way your story developed in a way?
So I learned that less is more when you have a page because, like, obviously in the first draft you see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 8 different panels or something like that, and there's so much talking and so many like
Mm,
different things going on at once. It's like, okay, here, and it gets kind of confusing to read as a reader. Like even if you take your time, you're like, okay. Like when you have like a wall of text on your thing, you're like, dang, I could be reading a real book instead of a manga. What am I doing here? One of the things the senseis were telling me is like, you're appealing to like middle schoolers. Think of their attention spans and how quickly they want to read and how much you want to shoot through a story and how your readers are gonna like receive things. Because like me, obviously, I want to hear everything. I think my ideas are fantastic. But then you get
Mm-mm.
to like the reader and you're like, did I really need to know all that? Probably not. And
Mm.
then like having dynamic poses is a big like game changer. It gets really boring if you have like a bunch of headshots and bust shots the whole time through and one of the things I'm still currently struggling with is I like to do like head on looking at the camera. And then it's like, no, have them look, have them turn, have different angles. It's so much more
Mm-mm.
interesting if you use different things.
Mm-mm.
And it just gets so much better for it. And then when I'm looking at the first draft, I'm like, yeah, I like it. But I'm like, I honestly like my fifth draft way more, which is why it's my fifth draft and it's my final one, which is nice. See, dynamic poses. Less is more with the words. You kind of want to just show everything with the pictures, obviously. Which I
Mm-mm.
think is where like a bunch of our classmates are like, yeah, the silent manga options where like you just don't have dialogue, you just use the stories to tell the pictures to tell the story. Like that's a good way to think about it. Like, is your body conveying what you're trying to have them say? Because one of my critiques when we were still doing like the character things is when we were doing emotions, it's like, okay, the face is there, but if you cover
Mm-mm.
the face, are you getting that same emotion? It's like, no, no, I'm not. You have no idea what that character is thinking or doing without that face there. If you want the whole body to like talk
Mm-mm.
and speak to you, and that's something I'm really working on. And again, well, I'm probably going to change a couple of things when I go back and do the final draft on my own. Because there's some pages where I'm like,
Mm-mm.
I think I can do it a lot better now, and
Mm-mm.
I'm getting so much better at the panel. Like every other page, I think I've only got two or yeah, I think only two redraws for each one after like the fourth and fifth page, which is nice. Even then, it's
Mm-mm.
not the entire sheet anymore. I'm like, I don't have to do every single panel every time. So I'm getting
Yeah.
better at like placing the dialogue and having the bodies do what they want and making it make sense.
Yeah, that's a good sign of progress, you know. I mean, like literally earlier this morning during our workshop, you were drawing really fast, honestly. Like in record time, like we timed it under 30 minutes for like a two-page or a one two-page spread. So,
hmm
yeah, just really great. Really great to see how far you've come since you started, and yeah,
Yeah, I
we're
feel a lot
excited.
better with it too, and it's like today's definitely needed a lot of work still, but I'm
Mm-mm.
not great at like action anyway, so I'm like that was to be expected. But then
Mm.
just knowing that I had like just knowing I have like the general flow and I can typically choose the right kind of paneling now is a big game changer. Because if you got to change the panel, it doesn't matter what's inside. You might as well just start over again. I mean, put your butt away. No one
Mm.
wants to see that.
Really great tips.
Yeah,
Thank
they
you,
do
Raven.
too.
Okay. Okay, so we're nearing the end of our list of questions for you. So I guess something I want to ask, what do you hope to inspire and others when when they read your manga once you finish it?
I kind of just want to instill the idea that you don't have to do like these crazy life altering things to be worth something. Like you can just be nice or just enjoy your life, and it's like not a bad thing. You don't always have to try to like impress someone or please someone. And the right friends are going to be there for you even when you're not doing something fantastic new.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of learning that like the world does move on and problems go away, and sometimes you get bigger ones, sometimes you get smaller ones, but there's always going to be something in the way. So then it's like if you really want to do something, you kind of just have to like make it happen. And that's easier said than done in most cases because there's a lot of times you're like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. I'm so frustrated. I hate life. I don't want to do these things. But just knowing that like it's worth it when you get to the end and you're like, finally. Like I was really frustrated like with the first page having to draw it 5 different times. Like I just want to move on. Why can't I get this stupid thing? And then you finally get it and you're just like, yes, life feels
Mm-mm.
great when you like make the time and do the things. It
Mm,
does get a lot easier.
that's really good advice. Yeah. On that note, do you have like any words of encouragement for anyone who is struggling to get to making their manga or think it's too late to start or
It
discouraged to
is
continue?
definitely not too late. I'm 31 and just now doing my first one, and you can always get better. Because I mean, talking bad about your art isn't gonna get you too far. Because we're all guilty of being like, "Oh my God, my stuff is crap, and I hate it, and I'm just garbage. I'm never gonna be good at this." It's like, okay, if you
Mm-hmm.
believe that your stuff is garbage and is going to be garbage, it will be. One of the things my college professors told me is, whatever you think you can or can't do, you're right. Because if you don't believe you can do it, you're not going to. You have to kind of believe in yourself, or maybe believe in the people. Going to some Guru in here. Believe in the people who believe in you. Because there, when I broke my arm, I was in like my last semester of my bachelor's program, and I wanted to drop my class. And the teachers are like, "No, you need to stay. You can do it. We know you can. We'll give you the resources. We'll help you all the way." And I was like, "Well, shoot, if they think I can do it, I probably can." And then we
Mm-hmm.
got to the end and I did it. And I was like, "How did you guys know?" And they're like, "Well, I mean, we just assumed you could." And I was like, "Well, you assumed right. It's great. We did these things." So first
Mm-hmm.
off, be a little nicer to yourself because, again, we're kind of mean to ourselves. The cruel words about us usually come from our own mouths. So give
Mm-hmm.
yourself a break. Life is hard. Don't be harder. Even if you don't necessarily join like this class, find a group that'll help you like grow. Because it's easy to have a safe place to draw. Because I can draw in my room by myself and be just happy and like life is great. But it is a game changer when you have a safe place to draw where people like motivate you to be better and like give you the tools to be better. And it's hard. There's been times where like the senseis are giving us our critiques and I want to cry a little. So I was like, I thought I did good, and you get whacked with it. You're not even on the right planet, let alone the right ballpark. And I'm like, oh my God, get away from me! Don't tear that apart. I loved it. When people give you genuine feedback and guidance and like they're actually trying to help you, so you can feel your feelings for a while, be upset about it, but then eventually like sit down, look at what they're telling you and be like, all right, let me apply this. Because once you start applying it, they're usually right. The senseis have
Mm.
not been wrong once with their feedback they've given me, and I've gotten so much better for it.
Amen
Yeah,
to
always
that.
careful.
And there we have it. Our cameo again from our kitty. And some people in our chat, in our live chat, have agreed to, like, your encouragements. Awesome creation says life is hard, don't make it harder. That's very good. Yeah, that is true. And
Yeah.
yeah.
It gets
Just
hard when you're always mean to yourself. Like, let me be nice to me
mm,
for a little bit. Treat yourself like you would treat your best friend.
amen to that. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Thank you so much, Raven, for tonight. I hope you guys have learned a lot from Raven's experiences, and you can see, from her drawings how she has come so far. She's still, continuously learning and getting better every time. And we can't wait for when Diary of a Magical Girl gets finished.
I'm
Even
excited
though
to finish it and do the inking.
even though I know you're not mentioned I know you mentioned you're not sure yet whether or not you wanna publish it online or print it, like more than the copies that you're gonna give to your supporters. But if you ever decide to, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would wanna hear about Eden's story. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, I guess we could head on to some questions that you have, like for Raven. If there's any about her, like like how what she learned, stuff she learned. I think we've had a few questions actually
Yeah, I see
while we
one in
were.
particular that's asking if you know like how panels are repetitive and if you can condense them. So one big indicator is if they're all the same shape. I have in mine are very much this square, square, rectangle, square, square, rectangle. So if you notice there's a pattern there, you're probably doing the same thing, like even before you look at the inside. You also want to look at the perspective you're drawing your character in. That's like my big struggle right now is I have a lot of like, oh, you're facing head on, perfect, horizontal, 1 point perspective. But then you're like, surprise, they're sideways and they're looking at each other, but it's still horizontal, 1 point perspective. So check what
Mm-mm.
perspectives you're using too, because like that's my biggest struggle right now. I tend to default to 1 point perspective without thinking about it, And then when you like really look at the comic, you're like, it looks very flat and very repetitive. Or like you have
Mm-hmm.
like the same size character and like back to back squares. That's another indicator that they're super repetitive. Because I have ones where it's like I'll draw one character sitting here, and then you're like, boom, there's another character sitting there, but they're like the same size, looking the same direction. So it's very much the kind of make sure they're looking different directions, but also a reason why. So it's like I very much struggle with that myself. And then the senseis were telling me you basically try to do at least a 2 point perspective because that'll give you a lot more dynamicism and it just makes it a lot more interesting to read. And then think about why you're going that way. Don't just do a different perspective every panel to do a different perspective. And I know that sounds like hard because you're like, well, why do I need? How do I know? After a while, you kind of get a feel for it. But in the beginning, you're gonna have to be very like, I want it looking down on the character because that character is feeling small right now. Or I want it
Mm-hmm.
looking up at the character and they're looking down at you because they're feeling superior and I feel better. So you want to think about why each square is the way it is. And it takes a lot of practice and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
feedback, and you're definitely going to want a lot of references. But that's kind of where I'm struggling right now, and I'm obviously not that great right now. But I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
better.
I mean, for those who are asking about how to do certain things like paneling, typography, or even talking about like story ideas, I think the best, honestly, the best answer we could give is join our course, join our program, because we get into it in more detail once you do join the program. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
think we would have like enough time to like thoroughly go over like the technicalities of the drawing manga, but like Raven's tips earlier, those are gonna be helpful. So yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
and
so
then
we have
looking at like,
another
because I have a
question.
lot of people asking about dialogue too. They're like, how do you know it's
Mhm.
good? Honestly, like for me, I just ask if it feels like something someone would actually say. Because you've got a
Mhm.
lot of the characters where you're like, you get like this long, like 30-minute monologue, and you're like, okay, but would anyone actually say that in real life? So kind of test
Mhm.
like whether or not people would actually say the thing. Or like if you've got like the really hoity-toity person, you're like, okay, but do I know people who do it this way? So kind of just
Mhm.
testing like, does it feel right? And then like, does it feel right for your time period too? Like if you've got like really old 1700s characters and they're saying, yo, what's up, home skillet? You're like, probably not the best
Mhm.
dialogue. So kind of know your setting and know your characters.
Mm-hmm. True, true. We actually have another question for you, Raven, here. Jason Park asked, how do you motivate yourself to do better? I've been struggling with taking the steps to trying to put out my work, but I lack the courage to do so.
It's kind of a mix of things. When I first joined the course, it was a leap in the dark. It's a I don't know and I'm kind of scared to do it, but I'm just gonna take the plunge and join. Now that I'm in the class, some of it is like the peer pressure where it's like, oh my gosh, everyone is getting so much better. I don't want to be left behind. And other times it's just that I want to convey my idea better.
Mhm.
And I know that's not necessarily like a helpful, like this is how you fix it problem, but having the community has helped a lot again, like because I like we've got a bunch of my classmates in the chat with us, like supporting me, even though they don't have to be here. Like they already know me, they already have been here. But it's like the
Mhm.
fact that we root for each other and we have people, and then it does get demotivating at times. Cause there have been a couple times where I thought I turned in a piece that was fire, and then you get slapped with the everything is wrong and here's why, and you're just like, oh my god, and you want to cry a lot, and you're like, this is terrible. But then you're also like, you know what? For me, I have no self motivation. So for me, it's like
Mhm.
someone took their time and they made the effort to show me how to be better. I don't want to waste their time. So for me, it's the people pleaser in me. For the other, I'm not too sure about everyone else, but for me, it's like people are invested and they're trying to help me and like they want me to do better and I want to do better and I don't want to be wasting everybody's time. And then it's also like, why am I doing this if I don't put forth the effort? Because there's been a
Mhm.
couple homeworks where like me and a couple classmates are like, oh my god, why do I gotta draw this same thing 12 times? It's frustrating. It's exhausting. I already did it. And then like you start skipping steps, and then you're like, that's actually kind of
Mm.
looking a lot worse than I have been doing. And you go back and start doing the steps right again, and you're like, see, if I don't skip steps, things work out better. So it's for me, it's
Mm-mm.
just like having that consistency, getting better. The people pleaser, where like the senseis are taking their time, and my classmates are helping me when I have no idea what I want to do. It just feels
Mm-mm.
good, and then I want to finish it too. I've never finished any story I've ever written, so this is like a huge deal for me. I'm like, oh my god, I'm finally doing the thing. So the thrill of being done too is also a big motive. I mean, I'm not done with drawing, but done with a project. It always feels great. So even having
Mm-mm.
like little mini projects helps out too.
Yeah,
And then
that's
trust me,
really.
like not everything gets good real fast. I still struggle with hands and feet. I don't think that's going away anytime soon.
Yeah, it is come with the package. But that's really good advice, not skipping steps. And I think a lot of people could relate, myself included. We tend to get a bit
You can
impatient with
usually tell when
improving.
I've skipped.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So, Raven is one of the students in our one shot manga drawing program, as mentioned earlier. And like her, and of course, you guys, like, we want to empower more aspiring manga artists like Raven. We've been working with students through our one shot manga drawing program membership these past few months, and here's what they said. So, like, on screen, you can see one of the progress shots of one of our students, Amser. So that's how he started last year, October, and just May this year. This is his one of his last drawings for the basics course that we had. And also Garrett, hi Garrett, I know you're watching right now. I'm seeing your activity in the live chat. So, like, Garrett said here, like, I feel like I've improved a lot since the beginning. I'm also glad to set up a lot of connections with a lot of students who are on the same journey as I am. And look, that's how much he has improved in a span of 8 months. We also have Eduardo's progress in just 2 months. Imagine that. I reached a new level of detail and characterization, learned more about backgrounds and how to be more creative about doing things against a deadline. And the mentors always give way better feedback to my work than I would, and they genuinely want us to do a good job. Exactly. And for those who watched us last week, this is also from Courtney. I like the sense of community and friendliness the group has fostered among itself and its members. My favorite part of being in this program is the privilege of getting critiques from mangaka instructors who have first-hand experience in this field. Being able to converse with them and have them critique my work has given me a better understanding of what I should and shouldn't do. So yeah, Courtney started with, like, like, she improved her paneling and her toning, and and her expressions as well in within 5 months since starting the course. On that note, we have a question for you. You're here because you want to learn how to draw manga, right? You want to improve your art and feel more confident, correct? You could say yes to any of these questions in the chat. I want to see some hands, see how many who want to improve, just like Courtney and Raven and Garrett, Amser, Eduardo, and all of our other students did. Vault Akaba says, yup, 100% yes. Yeah, Jackie says yes to all of that. Jennifer says yes. So we're seeing a lot of yeses and return viewers. I saw you five also agrees. That's good. That's good. Since you all, lots of you answered yes here. So since a lot of you, like, give a thumbs up and whatnot, would you continue doing it yourself and, struggle, or would you rather have a proven path to success, a path that Raven and our other classmates or other students have done in their success? So if you prefer the latter option, the next question should be, do you want and two? You've already seen our students' success. You've read how happy they are in the community and the guidance from our mentors. So if you want into, type I want in the chat. Okay, I want in. Jennifer M says I want in. I saw you five. I want in. I do. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So Jackie Star. Okay, so for your question, Jackie Star, we'll get to that in a bit. At the end. Jason Park says, I would, but having to do the consultation call was nervous wracking last year. Oh, so you've had our consultation call. How was it? Like, we
I was
do hope that
nervous
you.
when I did my consultation too, but it's mostly just talking about yourself and why you like art, and it's not too
Mm-mm.
bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, okay. So for those like who said I want in, if you want to make your time doing art more meaningful and more productive, then our one shot manga drawing program membership is for you. So we are on a mission to accelerate your growth all while having fun learning together, and you'll also have amazing pro mangaka mentors to guide you. Our first mentor, the GOAT, is a professional Japanese manga artist with over 30 years of experience. She's also the illustrator of the iconic manga turned anime known as Wedding Peach. She has also released her own How to Draw Manga book, and she also teaches how to draw manga in a vocational school in Nakano. So give it up for Yazawa Sensei or Nao Yazawa. She's awesome. Like if you guys
She
like
is
join our
awesome.
class,
I love her so much.
you're gonna see how how much of a beast she is when it comes to like drawing and stuff. Our second mentor
It was
is
hard
also
not to fangirl when I first met her, but then when you watch her
yeah.
draw, you're like, oh my god, she's amazing.
Yeah. Sometimes we kind of like forget art to like me as a coach forgets to reel it in the excitement like oh my gosh sensei is drawing. The same thing for Rena Sensei, also known as Rena Saya. So she's our second mentor, another professional Japanese manga artist. She's also been in the industry for about 20 years, and she also teaches at a manga school in Tokyo. Yeah, so you have like two industry level professionals to guide you and provide feedback on your work when you join our program. You will be learning basic drawing foundations, advanced drawing techniques, how to ink and color with Copics, how to design your own character for your manga, and most especially how to produce your one shot manga from start to finish. Yeah, so when you join our course, you guys will have lifetime access to self paced training videos, Facebook group and Messenger group chat, and live Zoom sessions about 2 to 3 times a week with our senseis and coaches. In and yeah, our mentors and on our team, of course. So we're gonna be seeing more of each other every week once you join. And if you can't join the live sessions for whatever reason, don't worry, because we will be collecting your questions and your artworks for critiquing beforehand, and you'll have lifetime access to all of our replays and PDF guides in the course. And even if you just watch the replay, you'll still see your question being answered and your artworks critiqued. You'll learn more about this once you get in. Also, just as a reminder, we're not just taking anyone. The better the fit, the better results. And we want to work with 25, only 25 for this batch, aspiring manga artists who want to be empowered. So again, we're only taking in serious artists. Like you really want this. You really want to put in the work. So if you want in, here is how the process goes. So this is gonna be for you if you're a beginner who wants to learn the how to draw manga and start telling your own stories. You have a passion for manga and dream of getting published or winning contests with your original artwork, or if you're seeking confidence and a supportive community to share your art and grow as a manga artist. If this sounds like you, then you're invited to apply and become one of the 25 new members of our one shot manga drawing program. So, of course, remember we only accept applicants 18 years old and above. So, if you're under 18, we'll wait for you. Okay, we're still gonna be here. We still have our tutorials in our YouTube channel, all the tips and tricks from our curated from our senseis. They're all available in our channel. Yeah, but if you're 18 and above, we welcome you. Just book that consultation. Take this moment of truth. Yeah, so like Jackie, 828, yes. So we still taking in applicants. And of course, if you apply now, what will you be tomorrow if you start today? So apply now. Yeah. So yeah, we have our link to the manga course application pinned in the chat right now. And of course, if you have any questions about the program, how it works, if there's any clarifications you need to ask, now is the time to ask them. So what VIP Erto Viporto? How do you say your handle? I'm 30. I used to draw before. Oh, well, before. Okay, so what's stopping you now? You can draw again if you're really passionate about manga. Okay, so we have a question about. Okay, there was an earlier question about the magazine of student works. Okay, so right now we don't have one yet because this just this year we launched our one shot manga drawing program. Stay tuned. It's we were just waiting for Raven and Courtney to get to the finishing touches of their manga, and once it's ready, you can stay tuned for when and where their works will be showcased. All right, so okay, you can always fix things. Like I tell my students, writing a crappy story is better than not trying. So this is from Raven. Yeah, Movo says, I'm unfortunately not a good fit, but I'm not gonna let that stop me. Even if you're not gonna part of the program, you still have access to all of our tips and tricks, and anything that we have is to help you get to your manga goals. Prachi Galot, I'm just 13 and I just want to make a manga. That's okay. Continue with the dream, and maybe when you're 18 and above, and we're still gonna be here, and we're still gonna be doing these programs. When you're ready, we're gonna be here. Okay, Jackie Star. I'm 28 as well. The two Jackies. Yeah. Okay, we have. Okay, am I having some mic issues? Movo the Gorgon. Also, please tell me that you guys are seriously considering selling a course on QBrush. That's something that, like, currently we're not, cause our focus is on manga. Yeah, so like the Japanese style manga, the orientation manga, the industry level manga, like the way that industry, people in the industry, like know of it, how it's done. Yeah, so that's something that we're not really offering right now. Okay, so Undecided Toy Store asked, is it difficult to learn manga in the US, assuming the manga community is still young here as opposed to Japan? I mean, how do you mean by this? Like difficulty in terms of like, if you mean like learning, I mean it really depends on you. Awesome creations. I want to think about it before I join. Keep in mind that our consultation calls are non-committal. It's free. Okay, so when you book a call with us, we're just gonna ask you some questions, and we're gonna all of the questions that you have. It's something you can ask during the call, and even if you're not decided yet, it would be a great opportunity for you to like learn everything that you need to know. to have like a an informed decision. Okay, Jackie, I want to do it and I signed up for it already. Oh, that's great to hear, Jackie. Awesome, awesome. That would be amazing. Like, we're excited to like hop on a call with you. Londa Mandla, I'm an anime enthusiast who has a secret ambition to make a manga. Well, it's not secret anymore. And we're going to support you all the way. I really want to
My
do it, but I'm just
senseis
scared
are really
no
good
one.
at stuff helping. Like
I
one of
really
them
want to
literally
do it.
wrote the how to draw book for it. So I'm like, you got some good teachers here.
Yeah, you're gonna be in good hands. Yeah, I really want to do it, but I'm just scared no one will understand the process, and I'm not confident enough. You know, a lot of our students have said the same thing when we first talked to them in the calls. So it's a valid thing to feel. It's okay to feel scared or unconfident. And that's exactly why we're here. We want to help you get there. We want to help you get the confidence to like express yourself through drawing and show your work. Yeah. So Goof Pie says, I learned so much from your videos in YouTube, even though I can't join. Yeah, but hopefully you're gonna stick around with us once you're good a good fit to join. We're still gonna be here. Okay, so undecided Toy Story, number of teachers, schools, local manga scene, I guess. I don't really know about like how it goes like in physical schools in the US, but I mean learn to draw mangas here. Like where else can you find pro mangaka mentors who know how to speak English, mind you. We don't find mangaka who have been in the industry for decades, who teach people outside of Japan. Because usually, like, if you're non-Japanese, sometimes you would have to travel. You'd have to learn the language, just to learn how to draw manga from someone who has had the experience in Japan. So this is like a very unique opportunity that we are offering you guys. Is there a minimum or maximum number of pages you guys do for your one shot program? Okay, so I mean, our sensei has mentioned 16 is like the minimum standard in the actual publishing industry. So for our students, we advise them to like do a minimum 16, because of how we know that how challenging making a manga can be. If you can like condense your story into 16 pages, it's gonna save you the headache, because yeah. And it's also a challenge as well, how to condense your story within a limited format. Yeah. Cat 123, what manga did you make? Are you asking me or Raven? Just wanna clear that up.
If it's me, I'm currently working on my first one, so zero for me.
Yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah. If you're talking about like the coaches, then we're not manga artists, but we do have professional illustrator experience. So the lessons are from our mentors who have made manga, like Yazawa Sensei, who worked on Wedding Peach and the Isolated Zone, and also Rena Sensei. So they are the ones with the street cred here when it comes to like manga. Yeah. I signed up for it not yesterday, it was Thursday, and it's on a Monday, and I'm very happy to do it. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, good luck on your consultation call. You're gonna speak to one of our team. It can either be our director, Miss Trisha, or another member of the LTDM team. So, Prachigal, I have a question. Is it compulsory to be 18 plus to make manga? In Japan, like if we're talking about like publishing a manga, like it's considered a profession. So is my audio okay right now? One of my team just said that my voice got a bit blurry. Okay, so
I
again
mean,
on
for
this
me, it's fine. I don't
question,
know about the rest.
well, I hope I hope it's not too bad. Okay, so like yeah, back on Prachi Galot's question. So like it's if it's as a career, if you're considering it as a career, I think it's safe to say that you do have to be of legal age. But that doesn't mean you can't make manga, like as in the literal act of drawing manga. You can already, do it. Like in terms of the course, we do have a reason why we're only accepting 18 and above. I mean, obvious reasons. Most of you guys who are under 18 are still in school, so you might not be able to like commit to some of the sessions, and among other things. But I think the best way to like clarify that is through a call. Conan says, "I tried for months and months trying to perfect learning anime from reference images, and I never really got it. The eyelashes and face shape of Japanese anime characters are just so hard." That
Dude,
is a
same.
struggle indeed. I mean, that's
That's
why
one
we're
of the
here.
reasons I joined the class. I struggle with like the book learning because it shows you where the line goes, but it doesn't necessarily show you how to do the video. I mean, how to put
Mm-hmm.
the line. And then with videos, they don't necessarily like you can watch them do it and you're like still have no idea, which is like why they having the teachers help a lot. Because there's a lot of things where I'm like I didn't necessarily get till I saw them do it, or like
Mm-hmm.
mentor Steph, like we used to do a lot of draw togethers with him, and like he'd watch you draw, and he's like, no, hold your pencil this way, do the like draw the line this way, and it's crazy, like because you're like, like with dip pens in particular, there's like a specific way you have to hold it for it to do right, and I kept doing it
Mm-hmm.
backwards. He's like, no, this way, and like having that like instant feedback while you're doing it helps a lot. Because yeah, I feel you. There's a bunch of things I'm like, I don't know how you did that line. It doesn't make sense to me. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
eyelashes. Oh my gosh, especially the sideways ones. Why are you so difficult? You're a single line.
But for Conan X and others with the same struggle, this is why Learn to Draw Manga is here. I mean, there are lots of tutorials already available on YouTube alone. And probably more if you like look on other social media platforms. But if you want to get like tips from actual pro mangaka mentors, we welcome you if you're gonna take that chance. And who knows, you might be one of the new 25 students coming in who could get the opportunity to get those tips from our senseis. Movo the Gorgon, are you gonna try and go for Viz's new program? So the one shots program, like, are you asking Raven for this one?
I mean,
Just
me,
want
I'm
to
not
make
really
sure.
sure because I like to draw for myself mostly. That's one of the things that makes me different from most of our classmates is I don't necessarily want to be a full-time mangaka. I
Mm-hmm.
have issues with drawing on deadlines and I want it to be fun. And I
Mm-hmm.
know for me, like constantly having deadlines and someone telling me that it's wrong would be like demotivational. And I feel like I would get tired of it really quickly. So I'm not sure
Mm-hmm.
that it's something I want to do like a bunch over if I just want to turn in like a couple one shots at a time and then just like do it in batches. Just because I
Mm-hmm.
don't ever want it to not be fun. Like if it becomes more work than it is enjoy, I don't think I'd want to keep doing it. I want to love what I do.
That's valid, really. Like not everyone in class wants to do that, but at the same time, we on the note of like Viz, we do have like Raven has classmates who do wanna aim for the one shots program from Viz, and if you're one of those, honestly, this is the best time to be part of the Learn to Draw manga community. Because if you like looked at their submission guidelines, a lot of what they're asking you to submit is something that is covered in our class, and you'll learn how to do all those things in our program. So yeah, take the chance. Yeah, especially if like going professional is one of your intentions, and even if not like Raven, like you just want to make manga for yourself, we have all the tools that you need. Whatever your goals may be, we welcome you. Okay, so I think we can wrap up now. So yeah, I do hope to see you guys in the in our program soon. And also, curious, that has anyone like filled out the form while we were on live today? Like we can have maybe we can bump the link, or it should be pinned in our description as well, the link to our application form. Let us know if you already filled it out. I know that one of the Jackies in chat has already filled out the application form. You're welcome, Undecided Toy Store. Thank you. So, yeah, thank you, DefCon 1. So, who here has already signed up to the program or the for a consultation call? I mean, how beginner level is this program? Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
it starts very beginner. Like you start
mm-hmm,
with like circles and lines, so you can start
mm-hmm.
at any level and make yourself get better.
Like the best thing about our program is that we have basics and we have the more advanced one, which is like making the manga from start to finish. So if you feel like you're still like at beginner level, don't worry. As long as you have the drive and that you're over 18, we know that you're committed to doing the work, then even if your level of skill is still like chicken scratches on paper, it's fine. Honestly, we welcome you. In fact, we're gonna hype you up so much, really. Like we actually have like
Classmates do too. You'll be feeling
yeah,
fabulous when you post things, and everyone's like, "Yes, girl," and you're like,
yeah,
"I feel great."
yeah. Like honestly, like this community is amazing when it comes to like the hype train. Like at any skill level, beginner or intermediate or like advanced, we're gonna be like, "You did amazing, good job, keep at it."
Yeah, because they
That's the
even end up
culture we
like
have.
making fan art of each other's art. Because some of their stories are so dang good. You're like, dang, I can't wait. Like one
Yeah.
of our classmates for one shot is gonna be about someone who thinks they get isekai, but they're really at a Ren fair, and it sounds hilarious, and I can't wait to read that one. It just sounds like
Yeah.
the most amazing thing ever.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that one too. All right. So Undecided Toy Store says I'm going to. Luanda says I'll try again. Yeah, like try, keep trying. We're excited to like talk to you on a call. Okay, we have some of our students here. Garrett, Kurokiran, DEFCON 1. I'm somewhat intermediate. I can do faces and background. It's kind of tricky to do certain poses, but I'll make up for it in some
Kind of where
way.
I started. I feel like I started at mid level because I wasn't like a beginner when I started the class, but I wasn't fantastic either. So I'm like,
Yeah.
there's definitely levels. And then I want to say one of the first students who was with me, she like didn't draw like at all. She just happened to want this one and started from scratch. So we've got a bunch of levels in here.
Can I make a manga panel in a day? I think Raven is the best person to answer that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like a 2 page spread in like in about an hour nowadays as far as like the basic line arts go. If I wanted to
Mm.
do like a full fancy 2 page, I could probably do it in like 2.5 hours if I really took my time. Once you start
Mm.
getting the skills and you start following like the guidelines, it goes really quickly.
Movo says, I guess the reason I didn't get in this time was because I don't know why I want to make a manga. Honestly, guys, like it would really help us if we know what your goals are. Because if you don't know what you want to do, like beyond just making a manga, like what your intentions
It
are
gets
gonna
hard to
be.
push yourself if you don't have a
Hmm.
goal. Like
Exactly.
it doesn't even have to be like a big fancy one. Like I was saying, I don't even necessarily know that anyone outside of this class or my close friends are gonna see mine, but I'm like, I want it so badly that I'm like, I know I'm gonna finish. When you're like, I
Mm-mm.
just want it, it gets easy to be like, well, I don't have the time and I don't have the effort or I don't have this thing. You make a lot of excuses if you don't necessarily have like a reason that
Mm-mm.
matters to you.
All right. DeathCon 1, by the way, is it allowed to have strong language and overall R-rated type stuff in manga? Yeah.
There's some ones
There,
that
there,
do.
there, there-
Like I can
there's a
think of a
manga for
couple where people are
everything.
getting ripped apart like 10 seconds in Elfen Lied,
Yeah.
or a Kame got kill, or a lot of murder.
Yeah. Like, like
Yeah, Berserk.
manga, like any other form of media, like there's something for everyone. There's some for kids, for teens, for adults with weird with weird tastes, adults with wholesome taste. So, yeah,
We were kind of
yeah.
talking about that earlier today. How you got like the really cutesy ones that are just cute for being cute, and then you got the ones where you're like dramatics, and you got the mysteries. Like yeah, there's tons.
Okay, so we are 2 hours. No, an hour and 45 since we started. Yeah, so I guess that is it for tonight. Once again, Raven, thank you so much for joining us. It's amazing to have you on the channel again, and we really appreciate you telling us all that you've learned from your experiences, both in life and in your growth as an artist. Good luck on your one shot manga, and hopefully, we get to see Diary of a Magical Girl in its final stages real soon. We can't wait.
It's gonna
And for
be exciting. I also came up with the title if I ever do the original where she's a hero. Eden
oh,
OMG. Because her
okay.
last name is Oakfield and MG for Magical Girl.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, thanks for joining everyone. And of course, please you have our uh link to our application form pinned in the description and also in the chat. And yeah, I do hope that we get to speak with you guys real soon, and who knows, one of you watching might be showing up in one of our classes real soon. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a great
Thank you.
night and weekend. Bye bye.